Hey everybody, Charles here. Welcome to Backroads Living. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, we'd ask you to do that now. Subscribe, hit that bell icon when it appears, and you'll be notified of our videos as we upload them in the future. Hit that like button. Share us with your social media friends. YouTube takes notice when you interact with our channel and like and subscribe and comment and things like that. And they put us up to be put in the suggested videos when that happens. So we appreciate it when you do that. In this video today, we're going to be discussing the importance of understanding how dangerous ice can be. So let's get on into this and see what we can get from it. In this video, or in this picture, I'm just going to talk about a little bit of information that deals with ice, just to give a kind of a foundation so we'll understand what kind of impact ice can have on pretty much everything around us. And it's something that we need to take into consideration in the winter. Right here in this article, now this is a very long article and I've just stopped here to show you just bits and pieces of it. It says more than 2,850 flights have been canceled. Now this is just in this storm that's going on right now across the south and southeast and coming through Texas. They've been canceled according to FlightWire.com. More than 1,800 of those were at Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston area airports. Shortly before 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, Dallas Fort Worth International Airport said all inbound flights were being held at their original until 11 a.m. And then we go down and it says ice and accidents forced the closure of Interstate 10 from Baton Rouge to Lafayette, Louisiana on Monday morning. The Louisiana State Police said both directions of I-110 were closed because of ice. The state police said 14 vehicles, including 3 jackknife semi-tractor trailers, were involved in a crash near Whiskey Bay on westbound I-10 early Monday. Black ice is something terrible. People just don't realize how quick these roads can freeze over, especially around overpasses and bridges. Folks, you got to be careful when you're out there on the highways. You just can't be too careful. Shortly before 9:30 a.m. Monday, Interstate 55 was closed in both directions because of ice on the roadway from State Road 40 near Independence, Louisiana to the Louisiana-Mississippi border. The Louisiana Department of Transportation reported that all state maintained roadways except for I-20 and I-49 sections that remain open in the 7-parish Northwest region were deemed impassable because of winter weather conditions. Numerous bridges were closed because of icing. So it is important to understand how dangerous ice can be on roadways, especially overpasses and bridges. In an earlier video I posted today about the storm that's going through Dallas and the power outages there, and there's power outages in Kansas City, Oklahoma. They're controlled outages. The power companies are shutting down power for a set amount of time and then turning the power back on for a set amount of time. It's called a controlled power outage because they're running out of electricity. They can't produce enough electricity to keep this going right now, and there's going to be a lot of problems caused from that. So we need to be much in prayer for these people, okay? But ice is just a really bad thing, and I want to show you something that took place right here in Louisiana. It says power lines put on light show as winter storm hits Louisiana. Now this is caused from ice as well. So let's look at this right here. I want you to see this. This is amazing. Look at that. From that transformer. The ice has caused this. So ice can be dangerous, and we need to keep that in mind, and that's something I want to talk about right here since we've watched this right here, is a ½ inch of ice on a power line can add an extra 500 pounds of weight to that power line. So when you get ice on power lines like that and get all that weight on them, they start pulling on the poles. And if you have vehicles parked in your driveways or around your house or on the streets or whatever, and you are expecting ice storms, you want to be able to park those vehicles away from the power lines and away from the light poles if you possibly can. And don't park them near those things, because when they come down, they can cause things just like we just saw to happen. They can create fires, just all kinds of things can take place. They can kill people. The power lines come down, electrocute people. So you want to stay away from those things as much as possible. Plan ahead. And if you know that ice is coming in, you need to stay away from those things. Keep your vehicles away from those things. The second thing is that it can cause trees and tree limbs to weigh about 30 times more than they normally would weigh. And that's what causes the limbs to break out of these trees. That's what causes the tops of them to break out and bust out, is all that added weight on them. Water's heavy. And it just, I think it's like 8 pounds a gallon. And it just, it'll just bust the tops out of trees. It'll bust the limbs out of trees. One of the people we follow on Facebook the other day, Lee Watts up in Lexington, Kentucky, they got up that morning, and that ice that got in their trees that night, and it had busted the limb out of one of their trees and fell over both of their vehicles. So again, just like with power lines, if you have large trees sitting beside your home or beside your driveway, if you know that ice is coming, you might not want to park your vehicles next to those trees or under power lines. If you have a place that you can put them and not leave them there, you're better off not to. Even if they fall on your house, you can't get up and move your house. I understand that, but you can certainly move your vehicles if you were to need to, and that might help you were something to happen to your place that you needed to leave and remain in your vehicles for a little while. At least you would have a place to stay warm for just a little while. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the icicles. People seem to not pay much attention to icicles, but icicles can be very dangerous as well. They can become very large. I've seen some really huge icicles out in the country, and when we would be out, especially in the winter, and we would be walking through the woods and places like that, we would see some large icicles that had formed on the edges of rocks, cliffs and things like that. And I've seen large icicles formed on homes before and on barns and things like that. And these things can be extremely dangerous. I know that people don't think about that a whole lot. And even in the cities, these icicles form on the edges of buildings really high up, and a lot of times you pay no attention to them, but these things can be extremely dangerous. They have killed people. Icicles have broken loose and killed people, and as the weather starts to warm just a little bit, these things can break loose, and if they break loose and they fall on an individual, they can stab them right through just like a knife would, killing them or maiming them, or causing severe damage to them. So these are things that you need to keep in mind in the winter when you're out and about. Don't stand under power lines when, if they've got any kind of frozen ice on them. Don't stand under trees that are iced over, and stay away from the edge of buildings and structures that might have large icicles on them. So again, just a little tidbit of information there to try to help folks along, and hopefully it'll be a benefit to you. Maybe you can pass it along and help somebody along the way to keep them and prevent them from being hurt at some time in their life. So again, God bless y'all, and we pray the best for you. We pray that you weather this storm well if you're in its path. We pray that you're prepared and ready to go. So keep prepping and keep praying. And until then, we'll see you in the next video.